Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? One of the big conversations with the Saints roster that we've had since pre-draft and pre-league year, so pre-free agency, is what they do at running back. And my contention has been that the Saints have to address that position. Alvin Kamara, in large part due to injury, has seen his production drop the last two seasons. It's fair. It's not a criticism. It's just a fair observation. We also know Kamara is very likely to miss 6 games this year because of the incident in Las Vegas. Your only other options right now are an aging Mark Ingram, who really knows how much Mark Ingram has left in the tank. Baltimore let him go, spent part of last season with the Texans, and then they were willing to trade him to New Orleans. And then it's a lot of guys that are really just end-of-the-roster special teams guys that you hope might be able to make some kind of an impact if needed as depth, like Dwayne Washington, who's on this roster as a special teamer, but can play running back in a pinch. Tony Jones Jr., we were very high on him. I was. A lot of people were. Last year in the preseason. I mean, that dude threw a lot of other guys out the boat because he was really good in the preseason last year. And then when he got his opportunity, it didn't really manifest. They had to go out and get help. That's why they ended up going out and get Mark Ingram. So I don't know that I'm so much convinced that any of those guys are the answer. Which is why I looked at the draft and said, man, I'd love to see the Saints use a draft pick on a running back. Well, they didn't. In large part because they made a couple of trades. They lost some of their draft capital because of the trades and ended up going with defensive guys later in the draft. Fine. Okay. What they did was they committed a very large sum, north of $200,000, to Abram Smith, the running back out of Baylor, who's an undrafted rookie free agent. And yes, this team has a long history of successful hits at running back in undrafted free agency. You all know the list. If it's Pierre Thomas, if it's Kyrie Robinson, I could go on and on. You all know the list. They've had a ton of guys over the years, Chris Ivory, that they have hit on in that market. So maybe Abram Smith is next. 1,600-yard rusher at Baylor. I'm bullish on him. I think he could be very good and could be that guy. I'm not telling you I think he could be a 10-year NFL vet, but I'm not telling you he couldn't be Pierre Thomas. Maybe, and that would be the dream scenario, right? Well, there's part of me that would think, all right, they're good. The Saints are good with what they got. Otherwise, because we see the Daryl Williams news. And Daryl Williams, who went undrafted out of LSU in 2018, and after going undrafted out of LSU in 2018, he was picked up by the Kansas City Chiefs and was a really productive player for the Kansas City Chiefs. Won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he started a handful of games this past year because of the injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And the report came down on Tuesday from Jordan Schultz that Daryl Williams signed him with the Cardinals. And Schultz reported that Patrick Mahomes vouched for Daryl Williams, telling Arizona that he was a back that he liked and trusted. 1,000 yards from scrimmage for Daryl Williams last year and had 8 touchdowns, no fumbles. I mean, he had a good season a year ago. But Daryl Williams obviously wasn't wanted or needed in Kansas City anymore. And the fact that he kind of floundered in free agency, I'll use that term kind of loosely, but the fact that Daryl Williams kind of floundered in free agency told you there wasn't really a great market for him. And it was why a couple of weeks ago when we looked at it, that it kind of felt like the Saints might actually be able to make a play when you look at sort of the bargain basement deals they've been able to do for veteran players. But Daryl Williams, clearly there was not a market. Daryl Williams tweeted on Tuesday. I'm sorry, this was on Monday. Great guy on and off the field. Humble, consistent, hard worker. Nobody can ever say anything bad about me, and I still get messed over. But that just makes me go harder. Watch my smoke. Daryl Williams seems motivated, but that's obviously a guy who did not like the contract and career situation he was in. He felt like he deserved better than he got either from Kansas City or what the market was or wasn't for him. And listen, I've heard enough former NFL players over the years talk about their experience in free agency. Some guys, it's undeniable. Like you're Von Miller, you're going to have a spot. You know what I mean? You're Tyreek Hill. I know it's a trade, but some guys in free agency, Marcus Williams, there's going to be a market for you. That just ain't the case for everybody. I mean, listen, there's two former NFL running backs on this radio station, Jacob Hester, Jeremy Hill, who both have told their stories about going through free agency. When you hit free agency and you think, man, that phone is just going to blow up and all the offers are going to pour in, and it doesn't really go that way. And that's the norm. So I think Daryl Williams experienced that here for the first time in his career when he hit free agency and the offers didn't flood in. But because it was going to be such an affordable option for New Orleans, it's a little surprising that they didn't go that route. So when you look ahead, man, I know it could maybe the thought be maybe the Saints aren't interested in bringing in a running back. I mean, they could have had Daryl Williams affordably and let him go sign with Arizona. But I say it all the time here, actions speak louder than words. The Saints brought in Sony Michel for a visit. They tried to sign him. Now, he signed with the Miami Dolphins, and we've talked about it. I believe that was a deal where it's clear he signed at a place that has a ton of running back depth. He took a bargain basement deal, but he's going to play professionally 20 minutes from where he plays high school football. He wanted to go home. Fine. Jarvis, Tyron, similar. Okay. But they tried to sign Sony Michel, which is why we went down this rabbit hole of looking for other potential free agent running backs. And one by one, you've seen them kind of come off the board for one reason or another. Phillip Lindsay, he signs with the Colts. Tariq Cohen was a guy we talked about. Well, he had the unfortunate Achilles injury. It looks like his season, maybe his career is done. I mean, Daryl Williams was the next most obvious choice. And now Daryl Williams is off the board as he signed with Arizona. So you look at who's still available. And I'm going to tell you, there is not an answer that just jumps off the page to me. When you look at there are 55 available free agent running backs right now. And I don't know that any of these are great options. I mean, David Johnson's 30 years old. He is a shell of what he was when he was part of that awful trade from Arizona to Houston. I mean, Jalen Richard's 28 years old. Maybe you take a flyer there. Devontae Booker's 29 years old. Carlos Hyde's 31. Malcolm Brown's 29. Really, you have to look and say, what's left in the tank for some of these guys? Because they're all guys that are older. They're at or over 30. Malcolm Brown's 29. Latavius Murray is 32 years old. Reach for it, Muse.
Murray, present.
Thank you. Don't worry, Alondra. We'll teach you that later. Devonte Freeman. The Saints had Devonte Freeman in last year and cut him. They had him in camp and cut him for Tony Jones Jr. Peyton Barber, Jerick McKinnon. I mean, Alex Collins with Seattle last year was 27 years old. I mean, he's the youngest of the options. Then you get into guys like Corey Clement and Wayne Gallman, the former Clemson running back. Kalen Ballage, Buddy Howell, Trey Harbison. You understand, look at the list. Austin Walter, Adrian Killens, Christian Wade, Justin Jackson. Le'Veon Bell's available. I mean, my point is there aren't options that jump off the page and say that's the guy. So maybe the Saints at this point weren't interested in Daryl Williams, and what they're going to do is wait for that when roster moves start to happen, when attrition starts to happen, they start to look and say, okay, who gets cut? One man's trash is another man's treasure type thing. There's always there is an endless list of players throughout the history of the NFL that were cut by one team, caught on with another team, had a great career. The greatest telltale of that, or cautionary tale in the Peyton era, was Rob Ninkovich. Saints drafted him. He was right there on the borderline in that first training camp. They cut him. Patriots picked him up, became an awesome player in New England. Now he's an analyst on ESPN. But that might just be the Saints' approach, is they look at the list of available free agents. They're not interested right now. They wait until roster cuts start happening in and around training camp, and they see if they can find someone. But I'll still say, today on May the 25th, The Saints are not done at running back. They will add somebody else at running back before the start of training camp. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.